Hey y'all, here OS Reviews. Today we're taking a closer look at the SuperEQ S2. These are active noise cancelling or ANC Bluetooth headphones which go for under $40, making them pretty competitive and relatively budget conscious. Now these models are also quite compact because they are a folding design that's also on-ear style versus over-ear, so the pads are going to be only around 2 inches in their diameter. Now these also have USB Type-C fast charging, and they can also be used in a wired mode with a 3.5mm jack if you don't want to use them as Bluetooth headphones. As far as other specifications are concerned, these can last for up to 25 hours when you're listening to them just in the regular Bluetooth mode without ANC. With ANC turned on and using them as wireless headphones, they will last for around 18 hours. And if you're using them just for ANC without listening to music, just for blocking out noise, maybe if you're resting on a plane and sleeping, they will last up to 45 hours. Now here's a quick look at the packaging contents. Inside the box we do have a soft carrying pouch, which is a nice little extra, although one thing I'm not a huge fan of is they've also printed their contact and warranty email on the bag, which I wish they would have just removed and left on the manual. But aside from that, we also have an airplane adapter, auxiliary cable 3.5mm, and a USB Type-C charging cable, along with the instruction manuals. Otherwise, if we take a closer look at just the headphones themselves, the S2 do have kind of a distinctive look because of this pattern etched in chrome on the very top of the headphones. It makes it look a bit more distinctive and expensive than the price would suggest. It's also where you'll find access to some controls, including access to a power key on the bottom, and the very top here is for activating the ANC, which you can turn on even if the Bluetooth mode is turned off. Simply long holding on this top key will turn the active noise cancellation feature on, and then holding for a few seconds will turn it back off. There's also access to volume controls, also will work for skipping tracks and playing and pausing your music using this faceplate. Otherwise, on the bottom here we have the USB Type-C port for charging, auxiliary port, and the cushioning on the back is also made out of this protein leather that feels very soft and also more premium than you'll expect. It's actually fairly comfortable. If anything, the headband does have a slightly stiffer build because it's using a soft touch rubber as opposed to the same fabric or protein leather, so it can add a little bit more pressure on the top of your head, but as it is, it's fairly lightweight, so it doesn't become too much of a problem. Still felt pretty comfortable as I was wearing it for a few hours in my testing. The headband itself can also be pulled to extend the length here, and then the headphones can further fold down just by kind of snapping them inside, which is a very neat feature. So overall, these are definitely quite compact. Here's a quick size comparison with the Bluedio Turbine T7s, which are the aforementioned more typical over-ear style headphones, which you'll find that have ANC, compared to the on-ear style of these, which again are more compact. But maybe the biggest question here in 2020 is whether it's still worthwhile to consider something like this compared to, say, TWS wireless buds, many of which are also beginning to adopt ANC built on in. Anyways, in terms of drivers, these have 40mm dynamic drivers, so the size here of course will be much larger than what you'll find on a small pair of buds, which typically have only 5 or 6mm, so that will definitely give you some added oomph in terms of bass. They do sound very dynamic and filled with detail actually in terms of the mix of bass, mids, and trebles. There is a touch of a faint distortion sometimes, but as a whole it's still pretty clean sounding because it is using Bluetooth 5.0. It doesn't have any issues in terms of latency. You can play and pause the music, you can walk around the room and wear these headphones, and the music is very rarely interrupted. It's pretty smooth, and you can also watch videos and not have any distractions in terms of the audio or video getting out of sync. It all works quite well. Protocols supported include SBC and AAC, so although it lacks Qualcomm's aptX, as a whole I still found them enjoyable for watching videos, movies, and for listening to music. And it just felt more open, didn't feel quite as muffled or stuffy as some of the smaller TWS buds tend to do. So this will give you a pretty enjoyable experience, very clean and great for most tracks I tried it with. In terms of the ANC, it's definitely effective and makes a difference when you turn the function on. You can definitely hear it as it's flicked on versus flicked off. When you turn it on, it does add a little bit more of a white noise to the background, so in terms of the pure audio quality, of course, it works a little better when you have it off, but the sound profile isn't really disturbed. You still have the same mix of bass, mids, and trebles. It doesn't really boost up any segment, and at the same time, the quality of the music is largely retained, I'd say. Effectiveness of the ANC I would rate to be maybe a 7.5 out of 10. It does work again, and if you're in a car or on a plane, playing, the engine sounds are definitely reduced, although it's not going to be the same extent as, say, Bose's Quiet Comforts, which are the industry leaders and can cancel out more of the higher frequency sounds like voices around you. These will only work for lower frequency, but still does a very impressive job considering their relatively smaller form factor. So it's a comfortable ANC that works pretty well. It doesn't have any additional features though, like an audio transparency mode, which some of the buds these days have. So you can't really magnify the noises around you, for instance, and still have a conversation. So that's more or less it as far as our hands-on review of the SuperEQ S2. Overall, I actually like these more than I was expecting. Considering their price, I thought they would be a lot more kind of generic and performance would be worse, but surprisingly, it has very clean sound quality and pretty dynamic, thumpy bass for on-ear style headphones, ANC which makes a difference, albeit not industry leading, and the fact that you can turn it on or off without listening to music is a very convenient touch. As a whole, I really like the S2. I think it offers a nice middle ground between larger headphones with ANC and the really small TWS buds, which tend to have smaller sound and smaller drivers. This can still feel more comfortable, have bigger, more spacious sound for longer term listening, but at the same time not cost you too much, and I think offers a good rival to some of the other pairs we've seen. Although the ANC isn't quite as good as the Liner NC80s, remember that these are also about half the price of those, so that's again going to be a good cost saving if you want something similar without breaking the bank. You can check out more details if you're interested, but for now that's been our video. Thanks for watching here at OS Reviews. That's been the SuperEQ S2.